I am going to discuss about the consumer's equilibrium with the help of indifference curve, and it is also known as analysis of indifference curve for consumer's equilibrium. So for explaining this theory, we have taken two things. One is the budget line and other is the indifference map. So budget line is also known as price ratio. So budget line is also known as price ratio or oblique MRSXY, and that is known as PX divided by PY. So that is the price ratio. For the consumer's equilibrium, there are three main conditions. First, the price line should be tangent to IC. So here the tangent means what? Tangent means the IC curve should touch the budget line. That is known as tangency. IC should be convex to the origin. So we have already discussed previously in the second properties, due to diminishing MRS, marginal rate of substitution, the IC always convex to the origin. So convexity of IC is essential. And the third, the slope of IC should be equal to price line. So as I told you, slope of IC is MRS, marginal rate of substitution, and it must be equals to price line. So price line is known as price ratio PX divided by PY. So unless the IC will not make a tangency, in that case PX divided by PY is not possible. Now come to the diagram. There are two axes, Y and X. On the Y axis I have taken good Y, and on X axis that is the good X. AB is a budget line which indicates that from the given income a consumer can buy maximum OB units of good X and OA units of good Y. So here there are four IC, IC1, IC2, IC3, IC4. So first, IC3 and IC4 is right side of budget line, or it is beyond the budget line of the consumer. No doubt, IC3 and IC4 will give more satisfaction in compared to IC2 and IC1 according to the properties, but consumer is unable to reach at IC3 and IC4. Now come to the IC2. IC2 makes a tangency with budget line, AB budget line at point E. So E point is known as equilibrium point for a consumer because at this point it fulfills the price ratio PX divided by PY, or we can say it determines marginal rate of substitution. So E is the equilibrium point which determines that how much quantity a consumer will buy of Y goods and how much quantity the consumer will buy good X. So suppose here I have taken the name that is the MN. So in that case we can say a consumer will buy OM unit of good Y and ON units of good X, and he will come under the equilibrium position. Now come to the IC2. IC2 does not make a tangency. It intersects the budget line at 2 points G and H. So if the IC1 is not making any tangency, due to that it is unable to determine the price ratio. Here we can't determine the price ratio, and that price ratio, suppose we are able to determine the price ratio, but it will not be equals to MRSXY. It may create the problem of one, that is MRSXY may be greater than PX divided by PY, or if we are taking the edge point, it may be the problem of MRSXY may be less than PX divided by PY. So we can say only E is the point which shows the equilibrium. And even we can also say, that IC2 will give more satisfaction in compared to IC1, because higher indifference curve gives higher level of satisfaction. Is it clear? Okay. Already completed how a consumer will be in equilibrium with the help of IC curve. Now, if the consumer is not in equilibrium, what situation may create? So first situation, it may be MRSXY may be greater than price ratio, that is the PX divided by PY. So if MRSXY is greater than PX divided by PY, so what will happen, or in which situation this maybe creates? So if the MRSXY is greater than PX divided by PY, it means the consumer is willing to sacrifice more units of Y. So if the consumer is willing to sacrifice more unit, so look here, that is the more unit of Y. It means he is ready to obtain more unit of X. So he prefers X in respect to Y. In other words, we can say that the consumer is ready to pay higher price for X even though the market price of X is low, or a consumer is willing to pay higher price in compared to market price. So as a result, what will happen? So as he buys more of X units, so here he is ready to buy more of X and less of Y, MRS starts to begin decline, or MRS begins to decline, and it will continue till it becomes equals to MRSXY is equal to PX divided by PY. If this situation does not occur, then this situation may create that MRSXY is less than price ratio or PX divided by PY. So it is just opposite of it. It means the consumer is willing to sacrifice lesser units of Y. So here I have given a consumer is willing to sacrifice more units of Y. So here the consumer is sacrificing more units of Y, but in this situation he is ready to sacrifice less and less units. So what will happen? To obtain the unit of X, so it means the consumer reduces consumption of X and increases the consumption of Y. In other words, we can say that the consumer is ready to pay higher price in respect of market price for Y commodities. So as a result, MRSXY begins to rise and becomes equals to price ratio. So if the consumer is not in the equilibrium, at that time this situation may create, and if this process will continue, so this result will come and the price will becomes equals to MRS becomes equals to price ratio, and the consumer will be in equilibrium. So in this way, I have completed all the topics of consumer equilibrium. Either it is related to cardinal theory or ordinal theory, and consumer's equilibrium chapter has already completed. Okay, thank you.